you guys reached some sort of finality with NASCAR. I mean, at some point there was a raid on your house, right? Was this all part of? Do you lump this all in together with that, or was this a separate deal?
It was separate, obviously, but when you get the discovery of everything and you find the first 5 inches of paperwork, it's all NASCAR stuff, that they sent them.
What do you mean?
For example, I don't know where you want to start on all this.
I don't know. Well, let's start here. Let's start here real quick. And I don't know how long this goes. I'm just saying, start here. There was a raid on your house.
Right.
What was the raid for, and what came of it?
It was a month before the appeals court. Because we appealed it. We went back and appealed NASCAR's decision, and felt real confident that we were going to win. That we were going to win the appeal. Okay, and then that would be another thing that would be, to try to sum all this up and put an end to it or whatever. And so a month before, we're getting ready to go to scrapyard. I'm doing my copper deal I was telling you about, and all of a sudden, a guy came through my shop, that wasn't supposed to be there on my property, that I didn't want there, and he was a local guy that came in and, always trying to sell something or.
He just stopped in.
Well, no, this is about, he stopped in about.
He would come through every once in a while.
Right.
He was just trying to sell things.
Yeah, weed eaters and speakers.
All kinds of weird.
And them guys, yeah.
And he would just randomly come and go.
Yeah.
And how did you meet him in the first place?
By him doing that, just coming in, just showing up at my shop.
You buy this?
Yeah, you know what I mean,
yeah.
And trying to be friends and just trying to hang out. I'm sure you know a little bit what I'm talking about. That you get that a lot.
Random people just show up,
right?
Yeah.
Trying to be a friend and or fan or whatever. And so I found out what the guy was all about. So I said, look, man, you don't need to come back around here. Just you're not welcome here. Just stay away, basically.
And he had some stuff on your property that you want him to get.
Yeah, exactly.
A boat or something.
Yeah, a truck and a boat and this, that, and the other. And that's when I found out that the boat was probably stolen and everything else, And so I said, look, you get your stuff and just go on and stay away from here, pretty much. Well, all of a sudden one day, I hadn't seen him for a month or so, 2 months. We're getting ready to go to the scrapyard, and here he comes just pulling in with some dude in the truck and just walks right by me, right straight through my shop, And I'm like, damn, that's kind of weird, that he knows not to come in here. Now what am I going to do? I got to do something to make it, let him know I don't want him here, And the other guy sitting in the truck, as I'm already thinking it's weird that he showed up and just walked right past me into my shop, And so about that time, we walk outside and the guy's sitting in the truck on his phone. Like, man, you need to get this guy out of here. I don't want him here. Da, da, da. Within seconds later, the guy gets out of his truck and all I hear is, here they come. Well, now I know what here they come means. You know what I mean? It's like.
They coming.
When he said that, it was like there's people coming out of the bushes and out of the, sliding in vans. And I mean, it was crazy,
Really?
Yeah, I had a long driveway. And
like Scarface. This is the second Scarface reference.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm thinking this. So I'm seeing all this going on. And my shop at that point in time was right across the street from my house. Or not across the street, kind of like a little field, But I could see it over there. And I had a cabin on top of the hill, another cabin place, whatever. Well, now, when he said, here they come, it was all blacked out, just AR-15s, just coming from everywhere. On the floor, da-da-da, and all this stuff, and everybody's, there's a couple of my guys that was helping me. We're all, on the floor and everything else, and then I get up and I look over at my house, and it looked like I've never seen nothing like this in a movie. I mean, there was like they were covering themselves and, running side by side, and they had the big thing that opened, that slammed the door open, and I'm sitting there watching all this, and everywhere I look, there's somebody blacked out with guns on, and blacked out cars and this, that, and the other. So probably like 90 people, 80 or 90 people. Yeah. Oh, just like that,
Do you your pants?
I about pissed in for sure, but that's something else too, I'll tell you. But so all this going on, I'm looking over my house, and my wife she's getting ready to go to work. She worked up in Hickory. And I'm thinking, wonder what she's thinking, And so at the time, like a couple of seconds in my mind, I'm thinking, man, there's something big going on here. There's a killer loose, or somebody's broke out of prison or something. They think he's here, or something bad's going on. Because nobody told me at this point in time. All we know, there was no sheriff, nothing on their suits, nothing, just all black, camouflage in black, faces covered. I mean, you can imagine what that would look like, Eventually, a guy come to me and said, after it all settled down a little bit, and they're still everywhere like ants running around, and shows me a search warrant. So we had a search warrant to search the property, looking for a stolen piece of scrap metal, and like a plate. I'm telling you, there's like a 12 by 12 or 14 by 12 steel plate. Well, I had like probably $30,000 worth of copper on my rollback we're getting ready to go sell. And I'm thinking, steel plate. And I said, well, I got all kind of steel in my shed out there because y'all got steel scrap everywhere. You know how that goes on the race team. I said, y'all go look for it if you want to. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but this is kind of big for a steel plate, you know, what they're doing here. So it just started getting worse from there, but that was a long day for me and something else I had to deal with after that. And that was a month before our appeal.
So there ended up being 15, 25 counts of felony counts from that raid. And there was they said they found drugs in a safe and multiple pieces of equipment or something that was stolen, and ended up being this really long list of charges against you. Mm-hmm. You know, so like how that's not just bad luck.
Right.
Like how does that happen?
Well, I still have no idea what some of the charges were. I had 28 felonies after it was all over. I went to jail 5 times after that. About every month I was going to jail for that raid, that one particular raid. Well, actually they come back a week later and did it again.
Raided you again?
Raided me again. You know, then I had to turn myself in. You know, then, you know, a couple months go by, well, I got to turn myself in again.
Turn yourself in, you go into the jailhouse.
Right, being indicted, going to the jailhouse.
Did you spend the night? Did you stay?
No.
Did you have any time in jail?
I sat there for a little bit, but I got to get out. You know, I was out pretty quick as I went in, but still had to go, you know, and they indicted me for 4 counts here, indicted me for 5 counts here, and this is all separate times I was going.
What's their evidence?
Well, when it was all said and done, I bought a auction speaker system that you can, like an announcer and a mic or whatever, to do auctions. I did auctions from that boy there that I was telling you about, and it was supposedly stolen. So I got possession of stolen goods, basically. And after all the 28 felonies went away, you know, this, that, and the other. But, I mean, 4 accounts were like 10 years apiece. I'm sitting in front of the judge, and he said, this is a minimum of 10 years apiece on this, and 4 of them. That's 40 years, you know?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man, and it was a larceny of trailer / aircraft.
What is that?
I have no idea. Still to this day, I have no idea.
What trailer aircraft?
Yes, / aircraft, you know?
What about the drugs?
That was only 4 of them.
What about the drug charges?
Well, the drug charges were like this. I'm sitting there and watching all this going on in my house, and, you know, raiding it, looking at everything, pouring all the cereal out of out of the boxes, and just tearing my house, you know, just apart.
Yeah.
You know, basically. And I had a safe in one room. I had a bunch of guns. I collected guns forever, and this, that, and other. So they wanted me to open my safe up. Nowhere on the search warrant said we're looking for, you know, we want to get in your safe or search your safe or anything else. They're looking for a stolen piece of scrap metal and stolen goods or something like this, or stolen piece of plate or whatever it was. We go back to my safe, open it up, thinking, you know, I haven't done anything wrong. Again, okay, what's this for? A piece of, you know, sheet metal or plate, but you're pouring my cereal out of boxes in here, looking through all my books, you know. We walk back in there, open the safe up. They said, okay, now you need to go back on the front porch with your wife, who basically when they was raiding my house over there, they grabbed her and threw her down. She just got out of the shower. Got her in handcuffs, you know, face planted to the floor for no reason whatsoever. You know, she's not going to shoot them or hurt anybody. They're going to kill my dog. He was barking, so if you don't shut your dog up, we're going to kill your dog. Okay. All this is going on, just one thing after another. So anyway, they open the safe up, send me back outside. I go outside, and she and I were sitting on the porch, and I'm just looking around like this, and just seeing everywhere I look, there's somebody taking pictures or something, you know, just big stuff going on. Probably 15 minutes later, they come out, and no, it's probably 45 minutes later, they come out, and one of the detectives did, and he said, I need to see you for a second, you know. So I walked over the side, and he had his hand like this, and you can see like like plastic on the other end of it, just barely a piece of plastic sticking out of his hand. He said, you know what I got here in my hand? I said, no. He said, we found meth in your safe. I said, you didn't find meth in my safe. And of course, when you're sitting there at the time, you're like, you know, there's no meth in your safe. You know, so I'm going to say, well, you didn't find it in my safe because there ain't no meth here, you know. Yeah, there is. He said, yeah, we found this. And all I could see was just barely something sticking out. And he said, but we don't want to take you to jail, Jeremy. We want to make this right for you, whatever, you know. He said, we need you to call, you know, one of these people on this list and get them over here, and we'll want you to do a buy on them or whatever they do.
What does that mean?
Right. That means, you know, for me to call whoever's on this list, if I know them, they come over there and sell me drugs and they arrest them.
Okay, so they wanted you to be an informant.
Right. So, and while
they show you a list of names.
Show me a list of names. I read the names. I was like, I didn't recognize nobody on the list. I said, but if you want me to call them, I will. You know what I mean? If you want me to call them, but I'm telling you right now, I don't know any of them, and I don't know they're probably going to laugh at me.
That's
laugh
wild.
at you. Oh, yeah. So he said, well, go sit down. He said, and we'll get back with you in a few minutes. And he said, think about where you can buy drugs at and who you can buy them from, and if, basically do this buy deal. So I go out front. I'm sitting there like this. I'm thinking, what in the world do you, what's going on here? I'm thinking too that I ain't got nothing. There ain't no drugs. I don't know what they're talking about. They want me to do a buy and this, that, and the other, and I had no idea, about any of this stuff. You know what I mean? And just spun out pretty much. And so at that point, I'm starting to get a little bit mad. Thinking, what do you want? What happened to the piece of scrap metal y'all came here to look for? You're in my house, tearing my house apart. He comes back to me and he says, did you think of anybody? And at the time, I was kind of pissed off, and I said, I couldn't think of nobody. I honestly couldn't think of where I could go have somebody come over there and sell me drugs while this is going in progress, I said, I don't know what you want, or what you want me to do, whatever. And I said, oh, I just thought of somebody. He goes, and when I did that, he goes, oh, really, who is it? Gets all excited. And I said, I probably shouldn't say this, but I should go ahead and say it. I said, because I was pissed, because I had a good feeling where all this was coming from. I said, probably the NASCAR garage area would be the only place I know like this. Just being mad and just being pissed off at NASCAR and this, that, and the other. And probably should have never said that. And when I said that, the other guy said, is he not going to work with us? He said, I don't guess he is. And I'm still thinking, what are you going to do? Because I know you didn't find that in my safe, whatever you got in your hand. And then that's when he said, well, lock him up. So when I said that, 5 seconds later, boom, my hands around my back, and I'm going to jail,
Yeah.
So you're saying, I mean, this is pretty obvious, but I'm just going to state for the record here. You're saying whatever he held in his hand was not meth.
No, and it didn't come from my safe, whatever was in his hand.
And there certainly wasn't anything in your safe.
No.
You're saying that. And they got in your safe how?
I let them in my safe.
You let them in the safe?
Yeah, they wanted in my safe. I was like, okay, now you walk in there, I had a gun room, and I had a bunch of guns in it, and it was, and it was something that was in my safe was I had a bunch of coins and all the stuff that I'd put in little plastic wrappers that you put coins in. If I found a silver dollar or whatever, I had all that stuff in there. So I had baggies in there, and it was clearly you could see what they were for, and but there was no meth in there, no drugs in there. I didn't even have to open the safe up if I didn't want to, and I did anyway. Well, then they sent me to jail after that. It was just like, I keep going all day on all the details about it, but whatever. But so that's the first time I went to jail. Basically, the guy, while he's filling the papers out to put me in jail or whatever, we're down there, and he goes, another guy come out and he said, what'd it weigh? And he goes, well, basically the weight of a baggie, 1 point something grams, and so they wrote down 1 point something grams of whatever it was, but the guy, I heard him say basically the weight of the baggie. So I'm assuming that, well, it was the baggie that one of the baggies I had in my safe, not realizing whatever. But so anyway, the judge let me out. I didn't had to go to jail and all that stuff. So.
Okay. How many counts were there? 28? Something like that?
Yeah.
28? Of the 28, you're saying that there was complete innocence in all 28 of those counts?
No, there was like 2 counts of possession of stolen goods that I admitted and told them I had,
You had possession of stolen goods, but you're saying you bought them.
Yeah, I bought them.
You bought them, but they were stolen.
Right. Just like a pawn shop or anybody would do, I'm sure somebody around here's bought something that's stolen. Somebody
you don't know where the stuff
right.
from the pawn shop, usually you just assume it is stolen, actually, right?
Right.
So I know that for months and months and months that you wouldn't accept a plea deal that had any felon charge on it. And did you eventually have to do that, or because I know you wanted to? You're obviously trying to keep that off your personal record, right?
Right.
So I'm finding that kind of funny because you get raided, all that happening, right?
Right.
Your world's exploding all around you, right? You're just like, oh my God, what's happened? How did I get here? Right. How do you decide to keep turning away the plea deals that they keep sending you?
Right.
And like, I ain't accepting that.
Right.
Tell them no felony charges. Tell them no
Right.
felony charges. I'll plead to anything that ain't a felony. And you just went on and on.
Yeah, they went on for 2.5 years.
Why are you not like just trying to get this off your back?
Right. Well, because for one, I didn't want to be a felon. I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't.
But if you pled guilty to the felony charge, I think you would have still not done any jail time.
They might have.
No, this was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this was.
This was
my
so
first time.
how do you get to decide that you're going to be the one to tell them what you're going to accept?
Right. I just was like this. I was like, for one, it didn't happen all 28. Didn't happen all at one time. Say a month or two after that, they'd indict me again because I didn't accept one right here.
Yeah.
So now I'm indicted for 5 more. Okay, then another month and a half goes by and 5 more. Then 3 more, and to different counties too. Different counties were coming aboard. So that made it hard for me to fight all this. Okay, well then at the end of that month I was telling you about was my hearing for
the appeal
and
the NASCAR drug test.
Exactly. And so meanwhile, when we started getting our discovery, we get discovery for everything they're accusing you for, whatever, basically. Well, there was all kinds of stuff on top of it that was just all NASCAR stuff. Well, why would that be a part of my case now? This had nothing to do with NASCAR, so why is NASCAR, basically all their stuff, information coming in on this, So then we go to appeals court, and of course the first 30 minutes, they stand up and their attorneys are telling, there's 6 judges up there, whatever it is, that Mr. Mayfield just got arrested for methamphetamines and gun charges and just one right after another, and how are you going to win that, And even though they shouldn't have based it off that, it had nothing to do with it, it's totally separate, but the judges are listening and going, yeah, how are we going to rule on that, So basically we lost our appeal, and then it was over after that, as far as the NASCAR deal.
Yeah.